So lying on your back, scan yourself. Having that conversation that for many of us is quite personal. Has that influenced your way of lying in any way? Made your print on the floor more clearly recognizable or less clearly recognizable? That's a good way to start. Notice, can you feel the movement of your breathing in the change in the contact with the floor and the way it changes? Another way of saying that is, your contact with the floor changed in some way as you breathe in or as you breathe out? So you can notice the rhythm of your breathing. You know, when we laugh, it changes the rhythm of our breathing. And, you know, everybody laughs in a very unique way, not unlike how we produce sound. So maybe we just share the laughter. Try laughing. See what your laughter sounds like. It's either going to help her laugh more or less. But have you noticed that? Your family, your friends got a very unique way of laughing. Laughing is one of the functions that our voice is a part of. Our breathing is a part of, just like our voice. So if you think of the shape of your chest and the shape of your torso, where does it change its volume as you breathe in and as you breathe out? Do the same places change as you breathe in, as you breathe out, or are they different places? And if you think of the images that you saw with Leah and Helen and Anna today, what sense do you have of the movement of your ribs? Are you informed by your contact with the floor about the direction or the changing shape of your thorax? Maybe put your hands on yourself. You could put the backs of your hands on the sides of your ribs. So different areas, different ribs have different degrees of mobility, which is influenced by how they connect to our thoracic spine at the back and the sternum at the front, whether they're floating or whether they're connected to other ribs. But the ribs that are able to move the most are the lower and middle ribs. And if they're the ones that can move the most, they're the ones that can change the volume of our chest and thereby allow more air in or less air in if they're not changing their shape at all. If for some reason in our self-image they've lost their degrees of freedom. What about in your armpits and on your sternum? So bring your hands to different places to sense the movement of your ribs. Small ribs at the back of you. So really sense, listen to the changing, the rhythm of your breathing, the volume of your breathing, the ease of your breathing, so that when we pause during this lesson, you'll be able to notice if there's a shift in any way. So this lesson is difficult. I still find it a little difficult, and I've done it quite a few times. So the idea is not, like in any lesson, is not to think that you're going to get it right or that you can't do it, but to keep on exploring whether what you're doing matches what you're being asked to do and how it's happening. So be patient, and let's find out what influence this lesson has on you. So please bend your knees, stand your feet. I'm going to ask you to do something that might seem strange to begin with. Could you pull your stomach, keep your mouth closed, pull your stomach in and breathe out through your nose in one movement? You're going to try and do it powerfully. So it'll be, I'm going to make a sound. It doesn't need to be a sound with it, but pull your abdomen in, pull your stomach in and breathe out through your nose. Do it powerfully. Abdomen in. Yes, I said it's going to be unusual. But check that you're breathing out through your nose. So as much as you can, don't bother about breathing in, but take air out through your nose with the aid of your stomach pulling in powerfully again, and then take it out again, and then take it out again. It's a day for confusion, perhaps. And your lips need to do something to help your nose, the air exhale through your nose. This one helps if you've got a frown on your face. Helps if your neck muscles are tight. What other ways can we help ourselves? So Moshe, straight up in this lesson, says, if you do it like this, there's no need to breathe in. Whoa, is that a mind bender? And it's a paradox. It's one of those paradoxes. It's not that you don't need to breathe in. It's that you won't breathe in your usual way if you can organize this. And that this lesson organizes one's way of breathing for singing, breathing, speaking. Rest a moment. So I do encourage you to rest when you need to. Changing our way of breathing. We can hyperventilate. We can do all sorts of things. So if you feel at all lightheaded, try and rest before that happens. One, followed by the next, followed by the next, followed by the next, followed by the next. It's bizarre. And it's actually stomach in. Yeah, there's some similarities. And with your knees bent. So when you're ready, come back to it. Bend your knees, stand your feet, spread your feet comfortably wide and a comfortable distance from your buttocks. And try again. Pull your stomach in strongly. Put your hands on your abdomen to check it's going in, not out. And that you're breathing out through your nostrils when you pull your stomach in. Do it about 15 times. Abdomen, the whole. I will in a second. I'm getting another. Yep. No, you're pulling in your stomach. Pulling in your stomach and breathe. I know. I was doing it again. So last night I did it a while ago. I did it last night. And it took me some time to coordinate because it's an unusual way of doing it. So how long is your breath out? It's not about making it longer necessarily, but just notice. So when we pull the stomach in like this and take air out, exhale through the nose, the diaphragm is pushed back up to its resting position and pushes the air out. But if our ribs aren't able to adapt so that to allow our diaphragm to go up, then the movement that we can do is small. But as our breath becomes larger and we get the differentiated movement between our ribs and our thoracic vertebra and of our sternum and eliminate unnecessary work in the muscles along the back, the movement gets larger. And when we want to speak well or sing or talk, it's in, public speakers, it's very important that the air goes out slowly. And for the air to go out slowly, you need the whole thorax to be changing its shape. And one strategy for playing with that is to do things that we don't usually do. And if you've done the lesson from the ATM book, Differentiating the Parts and Functions of Breathing, that's kind of an example. Rest for a moment. I was looking that Moshe, I found about 18 lessons specifically on breathing last night. Specifically, lots of different ones. Then there's probably another 50 that really emphasize breathing as a primary strategy in the lesson. And then the lessons where Moshe doesn't mention the relationship of breathing to movement are as rare as hen's teeth. I like to give myself challenges. I wanted to find one, but I didn't have the time. So I'm sure there is one there, but I didn't find it. So I just say rare as hen's teeth. And you'll probably do a couple of series around breathing in your training. So please bend your knees again. Place your hands below your belly button. And this time you're going to do the opposite. So you're going to breathe out through your nose while you expand your lower abdomen. And your hands on your abdomen will tell you whether you're pushing your abdomen out, which means your abdomen will push your hand in the direction of between your feet. So you protrude your abdomen powerfully out and down. Underneath your hands. So you push it out and let go. I can still see people that look like they're pulling their abdomen in. So check it. That's about. Have your feet standing. We're going to do standing feet tomorrow, but have your feet standing. So your knee is in a plane with you. And let go. Air coming out through your nose, and you really feel that push into your hands, downwards towards your feet, over your pubic bone. No, it happens together, and it can take a little while to get it together, to coordinate it. So make your exhalation as short as you can. And notice, when do you need to breathe in? Some of the breathing lessons emphasize rhythm. In fact, one of the series is called breathing rhythmically. Sorry, Helen? Out through your nose, pushing your belly out at the same time. Yes. And pay attention. So you can rest whenever you need to, but pay attention to what happens through your body. So now that you're hopefully beginning to get a little familiar with this, and he says powerfully, but of course you do it as strongly as you can do comfortably. Where do you feel the changes in the contact with the floor? What about the back of your shoulders? Your ribs? Your pelvis? Are there places that feel like they're pushed to the floor as you do this? And is it the same on your right side as on your left side? With your hands on your belly, do you feel like your abdomen is pushing out symmetrically? Same on each side? Not many people have the same control, let's say, over their abdominal muscles on the right and the left. But it can be difficult to sense. So what's happening in your lower back? Is it possible to push out your lower abdomen as you take out air through your nose and keep your lower back in contact with the floor? Or does your lower back arch away from the floor? Try both. In some ways, this ATM is a very simple structure. So you do need to take a pause from it when you need to. So if your lower back arches away from the floor, it actually interferes with the descent, the contraction of your diaphragm. It interferes with the diaphragm contracting and descending uniformly all the way around. Rest a moment. So I don't know whether these figures are accurate, actually, but when we're sleeping, I know this is this is accurate. For most people, there's always exceptions to the rule. When we're sleeping or resting and standing, our inhalation and exhalation, if we're organizing ourselves in as best we can, or no, optimally, more towards optimally, are about the same length. Moshe says that actors And speakers that are really well organized, their length of the inhalation to exhalation is 1 to 30 or 40. That kind of gobsmacked me. So that means your exhalation is 30 to 40 times as long as your inhalation. I don't know whether that's accurate. I'm just putting it out there and putting out there that I don't know if that's accurate. Maybe somebody does. Pearl divers that can hold their breath. That's right. So there are people that develop skills and extreme skills in any capacity that humans have. Did you notice when you paused the length of your inhalation, the length of your exhalation? Or whether your air is coming in differently from before? Whether you lie in contact with the floor a little more differently? Whether the rhythm of your breathing, the length of the inhalation, the length of your exhalation is more equal. And as you're lying there, what does your stomach do? When you breathe in now, does your stomach lift a little bit when you breathe in and sink a little bit when you breathe out? That would be the usual thing to happen, lying on our back. But it's not in the same place that we were pulling the abdomen in or pushing the abdomen out. Moshe says, this is another lesson, another breathing lesson. You will see that this whole method is built on principles similar to speech. Words by themselves do not mean anything. A word derives meaning from the context or sentence that contains it. A word by itself is not bad or good. All words are good. Only how or when they are used varies. The same is true of movement. All movements are good. All ways of breathing are good, provided they fit the needs of a person's body and aren't compulsive habits. Always having to breathe a certain way is not breathing. It is a compulsion. A healthy body breathes differently in each situation. Please bend your knees, stand your feet. Now, you're going to begin to alternate those two movements. So once you're going to breathe out through your nose, pulling your belly in. The next time, you breathe out through your nose, pushing your belly out. But don't try and do it powerfully this time. Do it softly. Pushing your stomach out, pulling your stomach in. And notice what this does to your inhalation. And again, it takes a little while, can take a little while to coordinate. But put your hands on your belly, on your abdomen, at least one hand below your belly, your navel, so that you feel what's happening. So you've got the air coming out through your nostrils. You've got your hands on your abdomen. Firstly, you're coordinating this action to do it once, pushing your belly out and breathing out through your nostrils. softly, gently. And then once breathing out, pulling your belly in. Can you do the transition as you get more familiar with alternating? Can you make it smoother? You could play with your mouth, Lorena, if you could try doing it. Or is it making that happen? Yeah. Uh-huh. So play with your mouth. Do it through your mouth. Not quite the same because you don't have the length of passage. You know, the distance that the air has to travel changes. So it influences how you organize it, but it's an approximation in that direction. No, do mouth. Do it through your mouth. If your nose is congested, you can do it through your mouth. But if it's too difficult, that's fine. Okay. Leave it, rest. Lengthen your legs. And listen to how this affects your breathing at rest. Do you sense anything different in your inhalation, your exhalation, or in the muscles around your waist, your lower ribs? Please roll over and lie on your right side. Bend your legs. You can put your head on your right arm or on your pads, your left arm where it's comfortable. And take air out, breathing out through your nose and pulling your stomach in. Do it powerfully again. And if you really pull your stomach in, do you feel your head moving downward a little bit? The impulse to bend your head forward a little bit? Do it quickly. Take air out, take air out, take air out, take air out. Listen to your contact with the floor and the shape of your back. In your sensation, does one side of your abdomen, your stomach muscles feel like they work differently to the other? Does that influence your ribs on one side more than the other? So touch your abdomen with your left hand and listen to see if you can identify if one side of your stomach beneath your belly button works more powerfully than the other. So as you're doing this, you're not trying to think about breathing in. You're trying to do a complete exhalation and then another exhalation. So you're pulling your stomach in and breathing out powerfully. You're putting your hand on your abdomen to see if you can distinguish whether one side of your abdomen in this position works a little more strongly, pulls in more actively than the other. And leave it. Roll onto your back and rest. And at the first moment you arrive on your back, listen to the length of your breath in, the length of your breath out, and where you feel the movement of your breathing. Which parts of your stomach, your ribs, are involved in your breathing? Do you have any image of where your diaphragm sits inside of you? Like a big parachute. It attaches around the whole circumference of your chest. And as it contracts, it moves downwards. And at the same time, because of when it meets the abdominal contents, the stomach, the liver, and it continues to contract because of the direction of its fibers, it widens and lifts your middle ribs in particular, lower ribs, in that upward and outward direction, which increases the volume of your chest, front to back, side to side. In all directions. And although this is not the best analogy, Dr. Feldenkrais talks about the chest being like a box. In my training, I had the idea it was like a Pandora's treasure chest, because anytime I explored ATMs with an emphasis there, my life seemed to change. But the box has 6 sides. Now, our chest is not square or rectangular like a box, but we have the 2 sides of our chest. We can divide it like this. We have a front and a back. Front where the sternum is, back where the spine is. And it has a top and a bottom. The base of the neck, it's where the top is, and the bottom is the diaphragm. Lie on your right side again. And this time, begin to explore the other form of breathing, where you breathe out through your nose, and you push your abdomen out below your belly button strongly. Short, fast, and as powerfully as you can, comfortably. And it's not about trying to make your exhalation longer, but just as if the air is leaving all at once. Breathing out, pushing the belly out. Pause on your side. Notice how your breathing forms. And now alternate again. So once you breathe out, pushing your abdomen down and out between your legs as you breathe out, and once with pulling your stomach in as you breathe out. But do it gently. Make it as easy and smooth as you can. And listen to what happens to your inhalation when you do this gently. When you do it gently, do you become a little more aware of how to organize yourself? Or how you are organizing yourself? And changing the speed of a movement is a strategy we use because different aspects of ourselves, different relationships can be highlighted when we change the speed. And we need to, it demands that we organize ourselves differently. So we're likely to use more parts of ourselves and in different ways, which can help improve our capacity to have adaptable breathing. Roll over and rest on your back. Listen, if this did something to your breathing, do you sense one side of your chest and stomach differently than the other? One side of your back touching the floor differently to the other? Please roll over and lie on your left side. So start with pulling your abdomen in powerfully first, taking air out through your nose. Rest your head on your underneath arm. Did I say out? I meant in. Thank you. So your head is resting on your underneath arm to make it more comfortable. You're going to pull your abdomen strongly as you as you as you breathe out through your nose. Powerfully. Breathing out. That's what the whole lesson is about, breathing out in two primary different ways, but changing position, changing speed. Could you talk through yourself? Could you guide yourself out loud to do this? No, you can't. It's good. Not today. And now try the other form. Breathing, pushing your abdomen out powerfully, outward and downward, the lower belly, without changing the arch in your lower back. So Mia, just listen here. When you push your belly out, what happens? Out. So the lower abdomen, it's out and down. If you could put a little penny on your above your pubic bone, it would flip down towards your knees. So you did no emphasis on the breathing in. It's always out, out, out. It's always out, out, out. Oh, that's easier. For someone, think out, out, out. Okay. Out and out again. No. with your abdomen in the direction of something going below your pubic bone. So, outs. Yeah. So the paradox is, Moshe says there's no need to breathe in. How do you get air in if you don't breathe in? I think it's one of those things, if you hold the words too strongly, it gets confusing. But it's interesting that oh, an automatic recoil in. That the diaphragm, if it was made to contract, or was relaxed strongly, it's more likely to have the capacity to contract more efficiently. And I think what does start to happen, and you may be feeling this, that if you don't bother yourself with the need to breathe in, every now and then you might notice that your breath comes in like a suction, sucks in, like the weather. High and low pressure systems. Okay, I can get that. I can get that analogy. But it's like it sucks in. So I just did something actively to breathe in then. Maybe you heard it, maybe you didn't. I went. But when we're breathing really well, the length of time to breathe in is next to nothing. And the length of our ability to exhale for a long time is well developed. So now I've forgotten where we're at. We've done in powerfully. Have we done out powerfully? Have you alternated powerfully? Okay, thank you. Great group. So it's out with your belly in, out with your belly out, through your nose. So what's the difference between these two movements for you? Both take air out. Is one more familiar than the other? Which one is better for what? Now stay on your side. Actually pause a moment. And then you're going to come back and do it gently. So alternating gently, softly. It's still take the breath out, 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 take the breath out. But once you do it pulling your stomach in, and once you do it pushing your stomach out. And do you notice, you may not, but do you notice if one side of your stomach pulls in or pushes out more strongly than the other? Please leave it, roll over and lie on your back. Notice how you sense the movement of your breathing. Again, Moshe says, experience teaches us that you can breathe whether you lift your chest or you lower it. You'll also learn you can breathe if you push your lower abdomen out or pull it in. All these movements don't have an absolute relationship to the exhalation of air. Everything influences it. So everyone breathes a little differently. Still, in the final outcome, air enters the lungs when the volume of your lungs increases, and air leaves your lungs as the volume decreases. So our capacity or ability to expand the volume of our thorax easily influences our ability to take air in or take air out. Please bend your knees, stand your feet. This time you're going to go back to pulling your stomach in, taking air out through your nose, but saying a noise. Pardon? See, find out. I don't know. Exhale. Yeah, you're doing it with the exhale. Just the exhale. Pardon? Yes, you're pulling your belly in. You're making a breathing out through your nose and making a sound at the same time. Bubble. Bumblebee breathing. Yeah, I like that. So now do the same thing, pushing your abdomen out and down. And notice if there's a difference in the duration or the length or the quality of your bumblebee. Wait for it. Now could you alternate? And maybe you're going to have a bumblebee that doesn't know how to fly, but so you're doing a with the pulling the belly in and breathing out through your nose, and the same breathing out through your nose and pushing your belly out and listening for the difference. Which feels better to you? Laughter's infectious, like yawning. Which feels better to you? The doing it on the pushing the abdomen out or the pulling the abdomen in? Okay, leave it, lengthen your legs. And notice what this does to the contact with your floor. Your sense of equipoise, your shoulders, your chest, your pelvis, your face. And listen to your breathing. Well, she says when breathing is done well, we need to search for who does it. The entire body participates in such a uniform manner that only with attention and directing our attention is it possible to say, this goes up, this goes down, this moves where. In other words, like anything that is done well, it's not a problem. So could you roll yourself to one side and bring yourself up to standing? And notice, has this done anything to your way of standing? And then walk around, find the person that you talked with at the beginning of this lesson and just have a little conversation. See if you notice anything different in the quality of your own voice, quality of their voice,